Ghired Conclave Exile versus Golos Tireless Pilgrim, Rosheen Meanderer, and Omnath, Locus of the Royal. We've got plenty of mana there, so I'll keep that. I like the Lightning Greaves. We'll probably not get this down on turn 1, it'll just get wrapped up in a board wipe. We'll surprise our opponents with that as soon as we get our 6th land into play. Okay. Oh, superb. So the Omnath opponent misclicks and passes through their first turn. So, yeah, shame scoop there by the looks of it. We draw into Wingmate Rock. Let's go for a tap land and carry on this 3-player game. Then it is Sylvan Library from Rosheen Meanderer, followed by another Sylvan Library from Golos. And we get into another tap land. Do we need to get the Lightning Greaves out desperately? Yeah, we'll get the Lightning Greaves out now, because we might draw into a 3-mana play. Failing that, we can always go for the Dragon Master Outcast on turn 3, then go for Tristani, and then into our Commander on turn 5. That does entail us getting into another green or white source we'll need. Then a Rhythm of the Wild from the Gruul player. And neither player puts any life into the Sylvan Library. Just reorganising the top 3 with that. Rosheen only has 4 cards in hand now. Oh, and a Mana Crypt, so that is probably a turn 3 Golos. They got out a Tri-land with that. Okay, Arcane Signet and Dragon Master Outcast sounds alright. And that will allow us to go in for Tristani if we want to next turn, although we could go for our Commander as well. Play a Shockland out tapped, and we'll just pass over like that. And still, Rosheen is deciding not to keep cards with the Sylvan Library. They are still at a nice round 40 life. We may see their Commander here. No, it is an Explosive Vegetation, so maybe they didn't like the cards that are on top and they've just decided to shuffle here. And then Golos going in for a tapped Stomping Ground. They could have gone for an activation on Golos there, but instead decide to go in for Smothering Tithe. And, we get into Kiki Jiki with a Wingmate Rock. Is this an ETB? Yes, it is, so that goes really well with the Wingmate Rock. I think we just carry on, allowing Golos to become a threat. Yeah, let's not pay for that, and we'll go in for Tristani, Celestia's Voice. Then we'll get out the Gargoyle Castle, and we'll pass the turn like that. We're still a few turns away from the Dragon Master Outcast being relevant. How strange. What on earth is going on here? I thought they scooped. Oh, I have no idea what's going on here. I'm sure they... Alright, well, apologies to my opponent. I thought they'd scooped and I minimised the board there. Alright, so let's have a look at what Omnath's been doing. Completely under the radar. I've never ever done that in a game of Magic before. They have discarded Multani somehow. There's a Nature's Law. They've got 6 cards in hand, 4 mana. Ramunap with an Evolving Wilds and a Forest in the graveyard. Let's see if anything's exiled. No. And looking at the chat as well. Yeah, we've got a friend of the channel in the Team Omnath player. I don't know why I thought they'd scoop there when they hadn't. Probably because I jumped to the wrong conclusion when they said that they're not in this game, and then... Yeah, anyway, I don't know what happened there. Alright, now let's catch up here. There is a Sky Shroud claim from Rosheen, and Rosheen has come out as well. And that has entered with a plus counter on it, thanks to Rhythm of the Wild. 2 cards in hand, that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. And then 13 if you count this. Golos has a bunch of treasure tokens in play. And there's a Wood Elves. Followed by an Etali. Yeah, that's pretty good. Golos doing what Golos does best. I mean, they've had some pretty good draws as well, in all fairness, even if it's not a Golos deck. Sylvan Library, Fast Mana, and Smothering Tithe. Doesn't get much better than that. We'll say no to the Tithe. We've got Rootborn Defences. I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to be wiping the board, so let's go. Yeah, let's just go in for Wingmate Rock. And then we can maybe start taking advantage of Kiki-Jiki next turn as well. Gain some life with the Trostani. Well, we're back to a 4-player game at least. No idea why I thought Omnath had scooped there. Where are we? Yeah, I think we're going in at Golos. They are down to 28 life, so let's get Golos out of this game as quickly as possible. 1 life for each creature. And how do we get the token, by the way? Oh, if you attack with a creature this turn, you get that token. Well, alright, we'll still get the token when the Kiki-Jiki comes into play anyway. We couldn't have attacked him with anything else. I suppose we could have gone in with Trostani at the Raminap. And there is Omnath, Locus of the Royal. That will be able to ping something for 1, and it gets rid of the Dragon Master Outcast. Then playing a land, putting a plus counter onto Omnath, and when they crack this, they'll get another plus counter. I think it needs to see 8 lands. If you control 8 or more lands, you draw a card. Shouldn't be too difficult for them to slowly tick their way up to. And because our opponent is drawing cards with the Sylvan Library, it triggers Smothering Tithe a bunch more times, so there's a lot of mana on Golos' side of the board. And here comes a big X spell from Rosheen. That is a Genesis Hydra. And they can only choose one thing off of this. Subterranean Tremors won't do anything. Vorinclex is probably what they go for, actually. Yeah, probably Vorinclex, I would think. Looks like they are targeting the Vorinclex. Yes, so that doubles up the mana. And everything else. Oh, this comes in as a 0/0. Why is that? Yeah, this game is being weird. And that has Riot as well. Oh, there we go. The plus counters are on it now, so it got an additional plus counter on it. Yeah, the game's been pretty laggy. Vorinclex came in with a plus as well. Now it's Golos' turn, and yeah, I don't think they took any additional cards from Sylvan Library. They're still at 25 life, which we knocked them down to. They're on 8 treasure tokens and now 4 cards in hand. And I think they'll activate Golos here, especially if they know what's on top with the Sylvan Library. There is the activation. Where is the pile of cards? Okay, there's one, Ulamog, and it does count as being cast. So that will exile, hopefully. Yeah, the Vorinclex, and the Rhythm of the Wild gets blown up by the Ulamog. Then there is an Ajani, the Great-Hearted, and a Gonti, Lord of Luxury as well. So stealing other people's stuff off the top of the deck seems to be the aim here, with an Etali in play as well. Need to make a Gonti deck. I'm actually looking at making Etali as well, so Etali or Gonti, which is your preference? Then the Etali swings in at us, and it will exile a card from the top of everyone's library. They get rid of a land for us, that's actually pretty good. Gets rid of a land for Omnath as well. We're not blocking this. And then, is it the Primordial Hydra it got rid of? What did they take? Did they take anything there? Well, there's a Gavany Township anyway. Exiled from the top of their own library. I don't think they can get lands off with Etali. Followed by a Pristine Talisman. And that's a True Conviction. That is a good thing to surprise our opponent with. We've been way slower than everyone else this game. Haven't gotten into any ramp at all. Let's go... Yeah, we'll go for a swing in first. We'll go in at... How does this trigger? Do we have to just attack? Yeah, attack with a creature this turn. We gain a life. And then we'll put the Greaves onto Trostani. And we'll go in for Kiki-Jiki here. Then make a copy of the Wingmate Rock. And that enters as a token copy, but it also gives us a token. The token that Wingmate Rock gives us, we will keep. But we're not going to be keeping the copy of Wingmate Rock. We'll put the Shroud onto Kiki-Jiki because we can make some good use out of that. Gain a bunch of life. We actually gained 8 life there. We sacrificed the token of Wingmate Rock. And we'll see if we can manage to not have the board wiped. And there is a Sky Shroud claim. I think that activates Omnath here. That's 2, 4, 6, and that'll be 8 lands they've got. Which I think means they draw a card. They've got 7 in hand currently. Yeah, they actually draw 2 cards there, and Omnath jumps up to a 5-5, or an 8-8 with 5 plus counters on it, is what it jumps up to. Even more triggers going off with Smothering Tithe over here, and then a Reap and Sow, search for a land, put it onto the battlefield and shuffle, and there is the infamous Field of the Dead. And more card draw for more Smothering Tithe. And I'm just expecting a board wipe from someone at this point. And still not putting life into the Sylvan Library. Going for Selvala, that will net a lot of mana. They can't tap it currently. But if they can keep this big creature in play, then it will tap for a lot of mana. They're going for another X spell. And that is Animist's Awakening. Reveal the top X cards and you put all the lands into play that you found on top. It looks like they only got 4 there. I think this brings them in untapped. Oh no, you put them onto the battlefield tapped, so I don't know how many they actually hit there, but they've got a heap of mana. Oh, it's the Spell Mastery that untaps them. I see. If there are 2 or more instants and sorcery cards, which there are, yeah, so they actually untap the lands that they just got off the top there. And now it's back round to Golos. Let's see how much damage can be done here. Let's see if they actually lose a Mana Crypt flip first. They do not. And then Etali swinging in again. They've played a Gateway Plaza and put mana into that, by the way. The Eldrazi is going in at Omnath. Gonti going in at the Rosheen. And Etali coming in at us. Yeah, we'll just take the damage from Etali. There is a Wood Elves and a Roiling Thunder being exiled off of Etali. Roiling Thunder won't do anything. But there's also a Garruk Wildspeaker. So that is pretty much Garruk Wildspeaker and the Wood Elves that our opponents got, because we just exiled another land in Reliquary Tower. Now, how much damage can we do to our opponent this turn? Especially with a True Conviction, we can go... yeah, we're just really shy on mana currently. We can go for another one of these, and that will get us into 6, 9. That'll be 18 damage with Double Strike and Lifelink if we go for True Conviction. Yeah, we're not going to pay for that. I think the Vigilance is coming from here. Creatures you control have Vigilance, yeah. They luckily don't have any flyers at the moment. Doesn't look as though anyone's blocking, actually. And we didn't look at what Omnath had exiled, did we? Oh, well, it's good to get rid of Tatyova. This is obviously a Lands Matter build, as you would tend to build with Omnath Locus of the Royal. Kalni Heart, Parallel Lives, Crucible. Crucible's really good to get rid of as well. Mana Leak, ugh. You should know better, Shiloh. Fertilid, bunch of lands, a Rampant Growth. Yeah, bunch of lands and ramp off the top. Titania is really good to get gone. An Oracle of Muldiah and a Hardened Scales as well. Followed by another Eldrazi. I would like to point out that I did say in the lobby that I want a casual game, and of course, when you say you want a casual game in Magic Online, someone brings a Golos deck and plays Eldrazi on turn 6 and 7. Because that is what a casual game is to some people, maybe. And then there is another Planeswalker, that is Teo, the Shield Mage. We haven't seen a board wipe yet, have we? I don't suppose... Well, we're in the colours for board wipe. Oh, and there's a Zendikar Resurgent. I think we're just on the plan. Yeah, luckily our opponent minused down the Ghired Wildspeaker, so there's no big buff effects to worry about off of that, I don't think. Well, we're certainly not going to pay for Smothering Tithe. Oh, and someone's gotten rid of our Shieldmate Rock. How did that happen? Oh, it was probably off of the Ulamog. Destroy a target permanent. Yeah, okay. So that makes the True Conviction much worse, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll only be dealing 12 points of damage to our opponent. I think we have to go for Zendikar Resurgent then. Although, no we won't. We can't afford it. Keep getting our land drops exiled off the top. Alright, maybe we just go for our commander then. Yeah, this is where Magic Online is very, very much different than paper. People aren't necessarily paying attention to the chat, and it does change the outcome of games. I want to be able to swing in over here and they chump with the zombie, or just take it if they want to, so that I can get the Proliferate, or the, Populate on a bird, and try and get as many birds in as possible to get rid of the Golos player with flying. But they don't seem to be paying much attention, so... what do we do? Well, I suppose we can get a copy of Ghired. No, I'm not going to risk it, because I think my opponent might just block the Ghired, and it'll just be a complete waste. So we'll go in for the original plan of True Conviction. I was going to go down to inactivity there while I was waiting on my opponent to respond, so we'll just go for that plan instead. Go for a bird token. Selvala triggers. We have nowhere near the biggest creature in play. We'll go straight at Golos' face. And then we can always populate with Trostani next turn. Make a copy with Kiki Jiki, and that'll be 6, 12, 18 points next turn. Can they gain life? They can gain 3 life with a Ajani if they choose to do that, so yeah, we need help from our opponents really. A Rampaging Baloth from the Omnath player, followed by a land drop for a beast token and another zombie token. And they're just deciding to leave things like that. I think they went for Evolving Wilds out of the bin thanks to Raminap. And now it is a Rishkar's Expertise from the Gruul player, which means that Rosheen will draw a whole bunch of cards, triggering Smothering Tithe a bunch of times. There has been very little removal this game, and we're still waiting on a board wipe. Although a board wipe would probably spell the end for us. We haven't really done anything this game. And now it looks as though they are casting Asceticism for free off of the Rishkar's Expertise. They've got 14 cards in hand. And I wonder if they're going for this so that they can regenerate in response to the board wipe that they're about to cast. I imagine Rosheen has a lot of board wipes in play that care about big red X damage. Both the Ulamogs are indestructible though, aren't they? That's indestructible, as is that one. Might be worth our opponent just leaving the board wipe for another turn, because they're not going to get rid of the scary Eldrazi anyway. Okay, Bonfire of the Damned being cast by Rosheen. That is X damage to a target player or planeswalker and each creature that player controls. So that is targeted at the Golos player, I think. And then Reiterate was cast to copy it, and it went after the Garrick. So Garrick goes down, and all their creatures go down, apart from the Ulamogs. I think I would have pointed more damage at my opponents, to be honest. But their Ajani had some damage pointed at them, as did the Ghired Wildspeaker. Now we can still deal some damage to them if we go for the Populate on here and make use of our evasive double strike. Problem is, we're probably going to get Annihilator swung in at us. Genesis does not have Trample, so I don't imagine that's going in towards the Eldrazi. And there is a Guardian Project And then having to discard some cards because they drew too many. Yeah, just getting rid of a bunch of lands there. Let's see if the Mana Crypt is on our side this time. They dodge Mana Crypt yet again. Yeah, Golos is doing very, very well this game. Field of Ruin has been played and destroyed something. I don't know what it went for. I'll have a look in a minute, but we all get to go for something here. Let's just grab a forest. It targeted the tiger on Rosheen's side of the field. I don't know about that when there's a Field of the Dead in play. Although, yeah, Ramunap is in play, so perhaps not the best idea there. And that just triggers Field of the Dead and Rampaging Baloths and Omnath a bunch more times. Field of Ruin allows everyone to go for a basic. And it looks like Golos went for an extra card with the Sylvan Library as well. They've got a heap of mana, they'll be able to cast whatever it is that they like. But they just decide to cast the Golos again. And then that's followed by a time wipe. Return a creature you control to the hand and destroy all the others, so that means that if this thing comes in at us, we're going to have to sacrifice some lands, and that'll probably be the end of us. Doesn't seem like much of a casual deck to me from Golos. Then they go in for Ghired Primal Hunter, which will draw them 10 cards off of an Eldrazi. But the Annihilator Eldrazi does not come in at us, it goes in at Rosheen. And the other one goes in at the Omnath player. Yeah, I'm just thinking if I could have played it any differently. I think our opponent's going for Bonfire of the Damned, 2 Bonfire of the Damned onto the Planeswalkers. I don't know if that was right. They could have dealt 12 damage to Golos and they would have been at 1 currently. They probably wouldn't have taken the hit from Sylvan Library had the other 2 players have done that, so they'd probably be at around 5, something like that, but still. We could have gone in for sacrificing a Gargoyle Castle or something like that and gone in at our opponent. It is another Planeswalker from the Golos. And they have blown up our Haste Enabler with a Vindicate, by the way. That was probably going to be our only means of wriggling out of this. But these 2 players still have a full grip at least. Followed by replaying the Golos again. And they go for a Scryland there. Then with 11 cards in hand, they don't have to discard. They've got 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. Soon to have more thanks to the Smothering Tithe. We get into our own Smothering Tithe. So maybe we can do something with the Gargoyle Castle. If we go... Yeah, we can hold up Rootborn Defences and the Gargoyle Castle. I was going to go in for the Commander, but we don't have haste with our Lightning Greaves anymore, so we'll just have to forego that this time. Alright, and down comes Omnath, Locus of the Royal. Can we populate other people's tokens? No, it's tokens you control. Alright, well, it's some kind of Wrath Protection at least. They'll get Landfall off of a Vesuva, get into more Field of the Dead triggers. And then they can get Landfall again off of an Evolving Wilds as well, which is exactly what they're going to do. So if someone wipes the board here, I think Omnath includes itself. Yes, it does, so that'll be 3, 6, 9 damage. We'll be able to deal 6, which puts our opponent down, because they're only at 15 life, so yeah, we might be able to do it still. It all depends on what Rosheen decides to go for. Now a Far Wanderings. Search for a basic, put it into play tapped. 7 or more cards are in the library, you go for 3 instead. And it's fingers crossed that the Sylvan Library... And it's fingers crossed, and yes, Rosheen is going to draw a bunch more cards off of Sylvan Library, so that gives us enough. And yes, it is going to trigger the Smothering Tithe. I didn't know if our opponent was definitely going to draw off of the Sylvan Library, but they are. So that gives us enough mana to activate the Gargoyle Castle if we want to. Oh, and I'm just noticing that that was our Ghired Primal Hunter, so how did our opponent get into that? Yeah, apologies, I don't know how our opponent got our Ghired Primal Hunter there, but the eagle-eyed amongst you will know how he did that. Boundless Realms, luckily, not coming from the Omnath player, this is Rosheen. They were forced to sacrifice a bunch of lands previously to the Annihilator. So going back up to a bunch of lands in play. Then going in for a 3 visits as well. Now we'll see how many treasure tokens the Golos player gives us, because they may be wary of this thing. They're certainly not going to swing in with the Eldrazi Omnath, I can tell you that. Oh, actually, I've just been pondering over this. This is probably Gaunty, isn't it? There was a Gaunty in play, yes. There was an exile card under the Bloodstained Mire. Yes, so Garrett came off of Gaunty and they waited until they needed cards off of the Eldrazi before they cast that. Now it is Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. That's not good. Going to gain 2 life and draw a card with the Dovin Barn, which will trigger our Smothering Tithe again. I think they might have actually paid into Smothering Tithe off of their own Sylvan Library, but they're giving us another one. Gaining control of a target creature. Yeah, that's really not good. We were relying on some damage coming from the elementals there. And now it looks like Golos has full control over the damage that Omnath is going to deal. They play a land immediately. Do they have a sack outlet? I don't think they do currently, which is the only saving grace to all this. Then activating Golos, they get a Gilded Lotus and a couple of lands off the top. Now the plan is, thus far, we can go in for 5 tap and sack for this, for a 3/4 Gargoyle with flying. That'll be... yeah, and then we'll have 3 left over for Populate, so we'll have 6, 12 power in the air to hit Golos with, but Ulamog is going in where? Doesn't seem to be too eager to tell us. Okay, going in at the Omnath player. Their cards have been exiled off the top. I think it's 20 you get with Ulamog. Not swinging in with the Annihilator, strangely. There is a Mana Drain, Doubling Season. Some Ramp. Temur Ascendant. Some lands, Risen Reef. That pains me to see the back of Risen Reef, although I wouldn't like to be on the opposite end of it. Bane of Progress would have been useful. Living Twister, Chaos Warp. Chaos Warp would have been good. It's not like you're going to get into anything worse than Eldrazi. Yeah, Counter Magic, Ramp. A Vigor, Fires of Yavin Maya. I mean, a whole heap of stuff being exiled here. Followed by yet another Golos activation. Now a Mirari's Wait, because our opponent's running low on mana. An Ethereal Absolution as well. Oh, that gives our stuff... yeah, that gives us a debuff. That's not good when we're looking to deal with Golos as soon as possible. Primeval Bounty, that's a pet card of mine. Really like Primeval Bounty. So they hit 3 really good enchantments off the top, putting some plus counters onto their Golos. Oh, and they can make creatures with that, can't they? Are they... oh, with flying. Ugh. And it's only 4 mana to do it. Yeah, that's probably us done then. I mean, we can force our opponent to block with the spirits at least. Followed by Sigarda, Heron's Grace, so they had a flyer anyway. Alright, the Omnath player, friend of the channel, has said that they can do something if we get rid of Teo, perhaps. That does give our opponent hexproof, so it might be direct damage they're looking for. That will dictate whether or not we go for going wide with flyers, although they can still go for the whole spirit thing. Okay, but again, we're going to go down to inactivity, so I can't wait for my opponent to respond. Massive, massive difference between playing in paper and online. What am I doing? I want to sack this. This isn't really going to help because the Golos player now has flyers in play, but we'll try. Okay, Ghired's Belligerence. That might be a really good draw. Let's just go for... yeah, we're not going to pay for our opponent's Smothering Tithe. We don't have the mana either to get rid of this thing, do we? Yeah, still no reply to that, unfortunately. I'm just going to swing in at Teo and hope that it makes a difference. Can we kill off any of our opponent's stuff? No, we've only got 4 mana into X. We could kill off one of our opponent's zombies, though. Yeah, we could populate multiple times with that, actually, couldn't we? So let's go 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll get rid of a bunch of zombies. And then we get a bunch of populates, which will give us a bunch of gargoyles. Although they won't have haste, will they? Oh well, we're not gonna do much of anything anyway, I don't think. We'll just do our best. I do have haste enablers in the deck, but we haven't really drawn all that well, unfortunately. We would have drawn into a Garruk had our opponent not gotten rid of it with the Gaunty. Now let's attempt to go after Teo, as opposed to our opponent's face. You never know, our opponent might have forgotten about the ability on Ethereal Absolution somehow, I don't think so. And they start cracking, yeah, they go for Ozar mana immediately, so they're definitely making some spirits here. We'll gain a bit of life at least. Exiling the Gargos from the graveyard there, so they get into a spirit. All they have to do is block with the Sagada and the spirit. I was just hedging my bets and hoping that my opponent would not see that line of play, but they get rid of some of our gargoyles here. Alright, well we couldn't get rid of the Teo, but we'll see what can occur with Omnath here. Retreat to Valakut. Target creature can't block this turn. It depends how many lands they can make, really. Followed by a Rite of Replication going on to the Omnath, Locus of Rage. I think I might have gone for that onto Golos, to be honest, so that you could get a bunch of landfall. You would get 5 copies of Golos, which means 5 lands, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things can't block. Ah, yeah, that was actually a better idea then. Yeah, completely forgot about the legendary rule. So yeah, that was well played by our opponent. They've had to sacrifice 4 of the legendary Omnaths, and all of the Omnaths have seen each other Omnath, each other elemental die there, and now lightning bolts can rain down on everything. So I'm not going to bother looking at what my opponent's targeting. We'll just look at the board after all of this is resolved, and yeah, we'll see how the board looks after this. And during all this, the Rosheen decides to scoop. That's a shame, sitting through such a long, tortuous game just to scoop when the tides might be turning. And now the good thing is that there is an Omnath Locus of Rage in play, and it's going to make it really difficult for our opponent to block the elemental tokens. Omnath might be able to pull this win out here, then going for a Cultivate to make even more elemental tokens. Yeah, I don't know what the right play was there with that Rite of Replication. It might have been worth them going for the landfall to make things unblockable, or to make it so that creatures can't block and then they just swing straight through for lethal. But they're just turning everything sideways at the Golos player. So we'll see what happens here. They've still got some blocks to do. There's 3 points of damage here. Not there. They can only take 1 more hit onto Sagada. And they're using up their treasure tokens to make spirits. They can only make 1 more spirit actually because they're a mana short. So if they block with an Eldrazi, the Sagada, or the Elemental onto any of these elementals, then that is 3 damage per creature that dies in that combat. Oh, and with a beast as well, so 4 of the creatures they might not want to block with, but I don't know if they have much of a choice here. Sacking more treasure tokens. And making a human token. So they've got some small creatures they can block with safely here. And they just decide to block some elementals. If they just leave it blocking like that, they're going down to lethal combat damage. Yeah. Blocking an elemental. Another elemental. They might as well take a hit for 3 instead of a hit for 5. Yeah, and then blocking zombies as well. No, not blocking any zombies currently. It is all the elementals being blocked and killed off, which is 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 damage, as long as this thing stays in play. which it might not. Okay, so yeah, 2 of the elementals survive, so it's only 3, 6, 9 points of damage from Omnath. And they take a hit for 11, so they go down to 2. They might die to Mana Crypt, but if the rest of the game is anything to go by, Mana Crypt is not going to bolt them. Our opponent's saying that he meant to kill off the Sigarda, but didn't manage to. Now 2 Eldrazi untapping. We've got a treasure token, we might get another one here. Got way less mana than all of our opponents. Oh, and they're going for the Sylvan Library as well, perhaps. They are now at 8 life. 8 life? Why at 8? I don't know where those lightning bolts went in that case. I think we worked out that they should be at 2, didn't we? Okay, so maybe they went on to... Maybe they aimed one at Sigarda, I don't know. I think they definitely should have gone at our opponent's face there. There's a lot of damage that hasn't been dealt directly to Golos this game. And it would have seen them out of the game a long time ago had it have gone at them. 11 cards in hand and a heap of mana. Don't forget all their lands tap for double mana. And there is a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. And that may well get rid of Omnath, Locus of Rage. That's exactly what it goes for. That was a token copy from something, wasn't it? Oh yeah, not Royal Elemental, not Leyline, where is it? The Rite of Replication. They made 5 copies of it. Okay, exiling our Trostani from the graveyard and getting down a spirit. I imagine they've got a lot of creatures to go for there, and in comes the Annihilator. Yeah, they've got enough creatures to exile is the problem. There's a Multani, that's 1. 2 in Wood Elves. 3, 4. So that's enough to block our gargoyles alone. And then we've got 1, 2, 3. 3, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Can they go after their own stuff? It's from an opponent, so they've only got 7 they can go for. Maybe we can just set up Omnath for a win as best we can. Let's get rid of a treasure. And then some lands. And I don't know if they paid for the Smothering Tithe or if they just didn't draw with the Sylvan Library. They might have chosen not to draw with Sylvan Library. And I don't know where the Ulamog's going either. Only 3 cards left in Omnath's library, so if Omnath is being targeted with Ulamog, then that's the end of them as soon as the turn passes over. Yeah, so obviously we got the Annihilator. Ulamog is, going in at Omnath. They've got 0 cards left in the library. We'll just take this hit because we don't really care about taking a big hit. We're at so much life. Yeah, could have dealt with our opponent if it wasn't for the misses on the direct damage to our opponent's face. And then this thing has really saved our opponent as well, getting into flying blockers. And that's a really good card from our opponent. So Omnath deciding to concede, because they've lost anyway. And I really don't know what we can draw into to help us out of this, but they've got access to 3 creatures out of our graveyard, haven't they? Yeah, don't see what we can get into, to be honest. And our opponent continuing to play with himself. Going for Elspeth, Sun's Champion. That will not wipe out our gargoyles. Followed by Supreme Verdict, which can't be countered. That wipes the creatures. We weren't going to get through with our creatures anyway, but I think that is a good time to concede. And we'll see what card we were going to draw into. Anointed Procession. Yeah, getting into lands and ramp eventually. As per usual, once the game's over, you start to draw into that stuff. But yeah, we were never doing anything that game. This deck is not built to tangle with things like Massive Eldrazi and Golos Super Friends and, well, really good Golos stuff. That's exactly why I said in the lobby that I want a casual game. Looks like 3 of the players, including ourselves, obliged to that, but this Michelle Rules just decided to ignore it entirely and bring in a powerful deck into a room that is going to stomp all over all the casuals. So I will definitely be banning this player, because this has been a massive waste of time. I think it's been about 2 hours recording this one, and didn't manage to get a decent Ghired game out of it for all of you. So apologies for that. Maybe you all got some enjoyment out of it anyway, I don't know. But I'm quite annoyed that I've had my time wasted here today. Anyway, like I said, hopefully you all got some enjoyment from it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.